programs on campus.
It's very safe to study here and to live here.
Research.
Make up your mind, find the right field, university, the city you like, and apply to any school in the UK.
They shouldn't think too much, they should just come.
Everyone should try.
It's true, great futures happens when you study in the UK.
In the UK, there's an amazing study and life balance.
My professors are genuine experts in their field and passionate about their subject.
There's theory to learn, but also many work placements too.
Traveling is so easy. I've been everywhere from the beaches, cities, and countryside.
I've had careers advice and help meeting future employers.
In a place which I can now call a home away from home.
This has been one of the greatest opportunities of my life.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK.
The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia has played a significant role in the nation's journey. Established in 1964, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has served as a home for thinkers, innovators, and future leaders. Today, as an integral part of Universitas Indonesia, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, continues to strengthen its position as a leading engineering institution in the country. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, oversees 8 leading departments in the fields of engineering and architecture. Each department serves as a collaborative hub for knowledge development, research, and community service. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has grown into a highly reputable center for engineering education, not only at the national level, but also globally. This journey has been shaped by a dedication to quality education and a strong commitment to innovation. Various practical innovations have emerged from the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. These innovations address real societal needs and demonstrate the faculty's adaptability to the evolving times.
As a center of excellence, Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continue to attract outstanding students from across Indonesia and around the world. We develop various international programs, joint research initiatives, and knowledge exchange opportunities.
The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia has played a significant role in the nation's journey. Established in 1964, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has served as a home for thinkers, innovators, and future leaders. Today, as an integral part of Universitas Indonesia, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, continues to strengthen its position as a leading engineering institution in the country. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, oversees 8 leading departments in the fields of engineering and architecture. Each department serves as a collaborative hub for knowledge development, research, and community service. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has grown into a highly reputable center for engineering education, not only at the national level, but also globally. This journey has been shaped by a dedication to quality education and a strong commitment to innovation. Various practical innovations have emerged from the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. These innovations address real societal needs and demonstrate the faculty's adaptability to the evolving times.
As a center of excellence, Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continue to attract outstanding students from across Indonesia and around the world. We develop various international programs, joint research initiatives, and knowledge exchange opportunities to ensure our students can adapt to global dynamics while still upholding local values. To support this, we continuously upgrading our learning facilities and technologies. Our IDA and ICEL buildings serve not merely as physical infrastructures, but as centers of innovation and collaboration, where ideas are transformed into impactful solutions. We believe innovation is not only about high-end technology, but also about the courage to think differently and contribute meaningfully.
Graduates of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia are spread across various strategic sectors, contributing through tangible work in diverse fields. They are not only experts in their respective disciplines, but also agents of change. Students of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continue to achieve outstanding accomplishments, both nationally and internationally, demonstrating their capacity as an exceptional generation, ready to compete and contribute on the global stage. Digital transformation is becoming an integral part of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia's journey forward. Through open courses and digital engineering platforms, students can now access knowledge anytime and anywhere. This digitalization brings the learning experience to a more flexible and inclusive level. Interdisciplinary collaboration is a key strength of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia. Its 8 departments work together on various strategic projects. The Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continues to uphold a culture of transformation, one that is systematic in mindset, work processes, and organizational culture. This spirit is embodied in the commitment to a zone of integrity, aimed at building an institution that is clean, professional, and widely impactful.
We strive not only to keep pace with change, but to be at the forefront of shaping it. Our vision is simple yet powerful: to be a nurturing ground for future innovators and leaders. With a spirit of excellence, empowerment, achievement, and cultural richness, we are ready to embrace the future and broaden our contributions to the nation and the global community.
And so I applied at Royal College of Art and I was accepted, and that has transformed my life, honestly.
Here you actually see and witness the value that comes out of different ideas, different passions, all equal.
I feel like also give me a safe space to do things that I wouldn't dare to do back then.
I think it's a pretty magical space in terms of having this energy that you most likely don't get again in life.
I mean, the technicians are phenomenal. I think they're fantastic. They're world class.
The best makers are coming here to study, and the best makers are here teaching as well. So it's a good mix.
To be in an environment where we have literally such a strong community of people who are tightly knit and such a great culture, I think is invaluable, man. It helps you know that you're not alone.
Having that sense of community, having that sense of the environment around you was what I was more aware of.
I soon realised that actually a lot of people that I've already followed on social media, or people that were kind of art heroes of mine, were actually RCA alumni.
A lot of the people that I met there to this day are kind of the fundaments of my life here in London, and my creative energies as well.
RCA is very well connected, known for their alumni networks. It's good to be connected to that.
We all want to make a difference. But knowledge alone can only take you so far. It's imagination that sets you apart and allows you to push at the boundaries of what is possible as you search for ideas that can transform lives. So if you take pride in seeing things differently, if you can recognize the opportunity inside every obstacle, and answer the questions others wouldn't think to ask. Imagine what you could achieve here. Because inside every innovator, pioneer, and trailblazer, you'll find the soul of an artist.
My experience studying in the UK has been life-changing. I have access to world-leading research and facilities.
In a place which I can now call a home away from home.
Since coming here, I've met such a beautiful community and have been offered various work placements, even in a world-renowned hospital. And what I have learned will help me in my career to improve the lives of others. Anything's possible when you study in the UK.
This is the United Kingdom, a place where ideas spark, cultures unite,
and futures are written.
England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, all inspiring places to study, where individual and diverse perspectives are celebrated. From breathtaking beaches and ancient ruins, to cascading waterfalls and wild coastal cliffs, this land of opportunity thrives on collaboration.
Come and be a part of it.
Here in the UK, classrooms spark possibility.
Places where voices from every corner of the globe come together.
At our great universities, history and heritage meet innovation. Every field of study is led by world-renowned academics and professionals. Practical learning and expert guidance ensure graduates leave career-ready, equipped with the skills that thrive in a global marketplace. Part of a network that supports you long after you graduate. But this isn't just about learning.
It's about belonging.
It's in the music, the food, and the friendships formed over cups of tea and shared ambitions. Absorbing the energy of bustling city squares, the quiet and calm of the countryside, the ease of hopping on a train and discovering the whole of the UK. The opportunities for growth are endless. It's a place that will challenge you, support you, and then sit back and watch you thrive. The United Kingdom is more than a study destination. It's the launchpad for your future.
A place to grow.
Be curious.
Be bold.
And discover who you are meant to be.
I chose to study in the UK because I was looking for somewhere my values would be respected. Somewhere my studies of the environment would come to life. A place that inspires beyond the classroom. Every experience here is helping me make a difference, not only in my life, to the world and to the environment. Anything is possible when you study in the UK. There isn't just one way to study here. There are many.
And your path is your own.
The whole environment is really conducive to learning.
There's theory to learn, but also many work placements too.
My work placement was at a globally respected hospital in London.
I've had careers advice and help meeting future employers.
I have a place that is a home away from home.
Somewhere my values are respected.
While studying here, you'll find the only limits
are the ones you make yourself.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK.
If you're applying for a postgraduate course, there are a number of things that you need to know. The first one is where to find out information about the courses. And some students will choose to look on UCAS Postgraduate, where some universities list their courses, but most will choose to look at the universities themselves, where you can find information on all of the courses available, including entry requirements. The majority of universities accept direct applications that can be made through their websites, and will ask for your paperwork and documentation such as English language tests, your previous qualifications, and academic and professional references. Applications for postgraduate are very straightforward, but it's always worth checking at each university what the specialisms are that they offer. A computer science master's at one university, for example, could be completely different from another one. So check the individual modules to make sure that you're picking the right course for you. Next comes the personal statement. This is the place where you talk about your skills, your hobbies, your interests, and why you've applied for the course that you've chosen. If you get stuck, don't worry, there are lots of templates online, including the UCAS personal statement tool to help you. Universities are very flexible in their deadlines for postgraduate courses, and often the courses only close once they are full. But for popular courses, this can be as early as January or February. So it's worth checking with the university what the deadlines are for each individual course and the popularity of the course that you're applying for. And don't forget, as a postgraduate student, you may have to apply for a visa, so give yourself ample time to do this over the summer before your course starts as well.
Engineering is about more than machines and structures. It's about making a real-world impact, changing lives, solving global challenges, and transforming our world for the better. With world-class facilities and a global reputation for academic brilliance, UK universities offer aspiring engineers the chance to excel in their chosen fields. From building iconic bridges to revolutionising urban infrastructure, our vast range of courses allows students to specialise and tailor their studies to industries that inspire them most.
The Engineering Makerspace is a place where students can design, build and test our engineering projects and inventions. We can build rockets, racing cars, humanoid robotics and sustainable projects like wind turbines.
Students enjoy studying here within our faculty. We've got state-of-the-art technology so all our student community can use.
An engineering degree from the UK is more than just theory. It's about practical skills and real-world application, with many courses including work placements or a year in industry.
I didn't know what placement was until I joined the team here. They told me about, all those different people that did really well. They all joined F1. One guy went to McLaren.
We have been asked to do some work on the Sunbeam vehicle. This is the first vehicle to reach the land speed record of 200 miles per hour. I'm going to be one of the few people to have carried out research on the Sunbeam, so it's something that's going to stand out on my CV and something that I can be really proud of.
These invaluable links to leading companies mean graduates are equipped to succeed from day one. The UK is an inspirational place to live and study, with a proud history of engineering achievements. The Shard, the London Underground, and the world's largest offshore wind farm, to name a few. Walking in the footsteps of great engineers like Roma Agrawal, Isambard Kingdom Brunel and James Dyson, students have the chance to join a legacy of innovation and excellence. It's a nation where innovation thrives and diversity is celebrated, opening doors for all. Start your journey in the UK and be part of engineering's next great chapter.
Studying in the UK has been one of the greatest opportunities of my life.
I've been given the chance to meet and speak to influential people.
My professors are genuine experts in their field and passionate about their subject.
I've had a lot of hands-on practicals and learned how to develop my own thinking.
I've had the opportunity to discover new perspectives.
I have access to world-leading research and facilities.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK. Studying in the UK, I've connected with people from all corners of the world.
I got to support my favorite football team in person for the first time.
Traveling is so easy. I've been everywhere, from the beaches, cities, and countryside.
Each experience while studying here has helped expand my horizons.
It's beautiful to see how people from different backgrounds can share the same space and support one another.
I have grown in so many ways.
In a place which I can now call a home away from home.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK.
Moving to the UK was a big step for me. I had never left my country before, but I could graduate a year faster, get a really good education here, and I could pay even less in tuition. My professors get so excited during their lectures that it really rubs off on the students. The history and culture has been really amazing to see, and the friends that I made here were a community pretty much instantly. Studying in the UK is definitely a worthwhile investment, but it felt like the natural choice for me in my career progression. Anything is possible when you study in the UK.
My name is Edwin Solomon Minka.
Ido.
Miriam.
So Fabia. This is Elsa.
Manfila.
This is Nisha Benzenkar.
This is Matimal Sina.
UK, like it ticked all the boxes.
The kind of progressive learning style.
UK is giving me the course and the tools they are like to be successful in my home country.
Every other culture that I have met has been exceptionally great and welcoming, and slowly it has started to feel like home.
The diversity.
You get the opportunity to meet the people and sharing your experiences.
I really have to give it up for my university. Like they've been so kind and so supportive.
We were all allocated a personal tutor.
The lecturers are very supportive and are always open to address students' needs.
Mentally and emotionally, we have enough support programs on campus.
It's very safe to study here and to live here.
Research.
Made up your mind, find the right field university, the city you like, and apply to any school in the UK.
They shouldn't think too much, they should just come.
Everyone should try.
It's true, great futures happens when you study in the UK.
In the UK, there's an amazing study and life balance.
My professors are genuine experts in their field and passionate about their subject.
There's theory to learn, but also many work placements too.
Traveling is so easy. I've been everywhere from the beaches, cities, and countryside.
I've had careers advice and help meeting future employers.
In a place which I can now call a home away from home.
This has been one of the greatest opportunities of my life.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK.
The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia has played a significant role in the nation's journey. Established in 1964, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has served as a home for thinkers, innovators, and future leaders. Today, as an integral part of Universitas Indonesia, the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, continues to strengthen its position as a leading engineering institution in the country. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, oversees 8 leading departments in the fields of engineering and architecture. Each department serves as a collaborative hub for knowledge development, research, and community service. The Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia, has grown into a highly reputable center for engineering education, not only at the national level, but also globally. This journey has been shaped by a dedication to quality education and a strong commitment to innovation. Various practical innovations have emerged from the Faculty of Engineering, Universitas Indonesia. These innovations address real societal needs and demonstrate the faculty's adaptability to the evolving times.
As a center of excellence, Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continue to attract outstanding students from across Indonesia and around the world. We develop various international programs, joint research initiatives, and knowledge exchange opportunities to ensure our students can adapt to global dynamics while still upholding local values. To support this, we continuously upgrading our learning facilities and technologies. Our IDA and ICEL buildings serve not merely as physical infrastructures, but as centers of innovation and collaboration, where ideas are transformed into impactful solutions. We believe innovation is not only about high-end technology, but also about the courage to think differently and contribute meaningfully.
Graduates of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia are spread across various strategic sectors, contributing through tangible work in diverse fields. They are not only experts in their respective disciplines, but also agents of change. Students of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continue to achieve outstanding accomplishments, both nationally and internationally, demonstrating their capacity as an exceptional generation ready to compete and contribute on the global stage. Digital transformation is becoming an integral part of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia's journey forward. Through open courses and digital engineering platforms, students can now access knowledge anytime and anywhere. This digitalization brings the learning experience to a more flexible and inclusive level. Interdisciplinary collaboration is a key strength of the Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia. Its 8 departments work together on various strategic projects. The Faculty of Engineering Universitas Indonesia continues to uphold a culture of transformation, one that is systematic in mindset, work processes, and organizational culture. This spirit is embodied in the commitment to a zone of integrity, aimed at building an institution that is clean, professional, and widely impactful.
We strive not only to keep pace with change, but to be at the forefront of shaping it. Our vision is simple yet powerful: to be a nurturing ground for future innovators and leaders. With a spirit of excellence, empowerment, achievement, and cultural richness, we are ready to embrace the future and broaden our contributions to the nation and the global community.
And so I applied at Royal College of Art and I was accepted, and that has transformed my life, honestly.
Here you actually see and witness the value that comes out of different ideas, different passions, all equal.
I feel like also give me a safe space to do things that I wouldn't dare to do back then.
I think it's a pretty magical space in terms of having this energy that you most likely don't get again in life.
I mean, the technicians are phenomenal. I think they're fantastic. They're world class.
The best makers are coming here to study, and the best makers are here teaching as well. So it's a good mix.
To be in an environment where we have literally such a strong community of people who are tightly knit and such a great culture, I think is invaluable, man. It helps you know that you're not alone.
Having that sense of community, having that sense of the environment around you was what I was more aware of.
I soon realised that actually a lot of people that I've already followed on social media, or people that were kind of art heroes of mine, were actually RCA alumni.
A lot of the people that I met there to this day are kind of the fundaments of my life here in London, and my creative energies as well.
RCA is very well connected, known for their alumni networks. It's good to be connected to that.
We all want to make a difference. But knowledge alone can only take you so far. It's imagination that sets you apart and allows you to push at the boundaries of what is possible as you search for ideas that can transform lives. So if you take pride in seeing things differently, if you can recognize the opportunity inside every obstacle and answer the questions others wouldn't think to ask, imagine what you could achieve here. Because inside every innovator, pioneer, and trailblazer, you'll find the soul of an artist.
My experience studying in the UK has been life-changing. I have access to world-leading research and facilities,
in a place which I can now call a home away from home.
Since coming here, I've met such a beautiful community and have been offered various work placements, even in a world-renowned hospital. And what I have learned will help me in my career to improve the lives of others. Anything's possible when you study in the UK.
This is the United Kingdom, a place where ideas spark, cultures unite,
and futures are written.
England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, all inspiring places to study, where individual and diverse perspectives are celebrated, From breathtaking beaches and ancient ruins to cascading waterfalls and wild coastal cliffs, this land of opportunity thrives on collaboration.
Come and be a part of it.
Here in the UK, classrooms spark possibility.
Places where voices from every corner of the globe come together.
At our great universities, history and heritage meet innovation. Every field of study is led by world-renowned academics and professionals. Practical learning and expert guidance ensure graduates leave career-ready, equipped with the skills that thrive in a global marketplace. Part of a network that supports you long after you graduate. But this isn't just about learning.
It's about belonging.
It's in the music, the food, and the friendships formed over cups of tea and shared ambitions. Absorbing the energy of bustling city squares, the quiet and calm of the countryside, the ease of hopping on a train and discovering the whole of the UK. The opportunities for growth are endless. It's a place that will challenge you, support you, and then sit back and watch you thrive. The United Kingdom is more than a study destination. It's the launchpad for your future.
A place to grow.
Be curious.
Be bold.
And discover who you are meant to be.
I chose to study in the UK because I was looking for somewhere my values would be respected. Somewhere my studies of the environment would come to life. A place that inspires beyond the classroom. Every experience here is helping me make a difference, not only in my life, to the world and to the environment. Anything is possible when you study in the UK. There isn't just one way to study here. There are many.
And your path is your own.
The whole environment is really conducive to learning.
There's theory to learn, but also many work placements too.
My work placement was at a globally respected hospital in London.
I've had careers advice and help meeting future employers.
I have a place that is a home away from home.
Somewhere my values are respected.
While studying here, you'll find the only limits
are the ones you make yourself.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK.
If you're applying for a postgraduate course, there are a number of things that you need to know. The first one is where to find out information about the courses. And some students will choose to look on UCAS Postgraduate, where some universities list their courses, but most will choose to look at the universities themselves, where you can find information on all of the courses available, including entry requirements. The majority of universities accept direct applications that can be made through their websites, and will ask for your paperwork and documentation such as English language tests, your previous qualifications, and academic and professional references. Applications for postgraduate are very straightforward, but it's always worth checking at each university what the specialisms are that they offer. A computer science master's at one university, for example, could be completely different from another one. So check the individual modules to make sure that you're picking the right course for you. Next comes the personal statement. This is the place where you talk about your skills, your hobbies, your interests, and why you've applied for the course that you've chosen. If you get stuck, don't worry, there are lots of templates online, including the UCAS personal statement tool to help you. Universities are very flexible in their deadlines for postgraduate courses, and often the courses only close once they are full. But for popular courses, this can be as early as January or February. So it's worth checking with the university what the deadlines are for each individual course and the popularity of the course that you're applying for. And don't forget, as a postgraduate student, you may have to apply for a visa, so give yourself ample time to do this over the summer before your course starts as well.
Engineering is about more than machines and structures. It's about making a real-world impact, changing lives, solving global challenges, and transforming our world for the better. With world-class facilities and a global reputation for academic brilliance, UK universities offer aspiring engineers the chance to excel in their chosen fields. From building iconic bridges to revolutionising urban infrastructure, our vast range of courses allows students to specialise and tailor their studies to industries that inspire them most.
The Engineering Makerspace is a place where students can design, build, and test our engineering projects and inventions. We can build rockets, racing cars, humanoid robotics, and sustainable projects like wind turbines.
Students enjoy studying here within our faculty. We've got state-of-the-art technology, so all our student community can use.
An engineering degree from the UK is more than just theory. It's about practical skills and real-world application, with many courses including work placements or a year in industry.
I didn't know what placement was until I joined the team here. They told me about, all those different people that did really well. They all joined F1. One guy went to McLaren.
We have been asked to do some work on the Sunbeam vehicle. This is the first vehicle to reach the land speed record of 200 miles per hour. I'm going to be one of the few people to have carried out research on the Sunbeam, so it's something that's going to stand out on my CV and something that I can be really proud of.
These invaluable links to leading companies mean graduates are equipped to succeed from day one. The UK is an inspirational place to live and study, with a proud history of engineering achievements. The Shard, the London Underground, and the world's largest offshore wind farm, to name a few. Walking in the footsteps of great engineers like Roma Agrawal, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, and James Dyson, students have the chance to join a legacy of innovation and excellence. It's a nation where innovation thrives and diversity is celebrated, opening doors for all. Start your journey in the UK and be part of engineering's next great chapter.
Studying in the UK has been one of the greatest opportunities of my life.
I've been given the chance to meet and speak to influential people.
My professors are genuine experts in their field and passionate about their subject.
I've had a lot of hands-on practicals and learned how to develop my own thinking.
I've had the opportunity to discover new perspectives.
I have access to world-leading research and facilities.
Anything is possible
when you study in the UK. Studying in the UK, I've connected with people from all corners of the world.
I got to support my favorite football team in person for the first time.
Traveling is so easy. I've been everywhere, from the beaches, cities, and countryside.
Each experience while
to all of you that are joining us online from the United Kingdoms. Welcome to Study UK Great Talks, a special hybrid event hosted by the British Council in partnership with Universitas Indonesia and the Royal College of Art, London. The participants who are joining us today is not only here in this room in Indonesia, but we also have online participants from the UK. Hello everyone who's joining us. My name is Tisrina Dewi Salsabila and I will be your host for this event. Today's theme is Navigating Uncertainty Through Creative Education. Invites us to explore how curiosity-driven, collaborative learning can help us face global challenges, from AI disruption and climate crisis to the future of cultural identity. To officially open today's event, we would like now to invite representatives from Universitas Indonesia and the British Council to deliver their welcoming remarks. Let us first welcome Dr. Ing Y.R. Ova Chandra Dewi, STMSc, GP IPU, as the head of Department of Architecture, Universitas Indonesia.
Thank you, Kak Nisrina. Not yet. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang semuanya. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining this sessions, and of course thank you so much for British Council for organizing this event. And yeah, Miss Gita, you know how we organize this event from the beginning, yeah, and also thank you Kak Mikta for sharing with us as well. Yeah, so we have now Mr. Summer Summer is the country director Indonesia and director Southeast Asia for British Council. Welcome, and this is Faculty of Engineering. Please make it your home. Yeah, and Miss Gita, thank you so much for managing this super wonderful event, and also Kak Nisrina. To all of the participants here, Have you know about this, the aim of this event? No. Yeah, if you're following our IG in Universitas Indonesia Department of Architecture, this is one of the events that we will introduce the Royal School of Art, yeah, the Royal College of Arts, and there will be 2 speakers who will joining with us online, and there will also students there joining us online together in these sessions. Yeah, and from Universitas Indonesia, of course, we will have Kak Mikta to present and share about their experience in research. Yeah, thank you, Mas Nanda, also Kak Inera for joining. Also, thank you to all of you. So enjoy. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the very kind welcome, Dr. Ova. Now let's welcome to the stage Mr. Samer Shah as the British Council Country Director for Indonesia and Southeast Asia Cluster Lead. Welcome, Mr. Samer.
Thank you very much. Selamat siang, selamat datang, Dr. Ova and colleagues and students from UI. My name is Samer Shah, or as Dr. Ova said, Summer. So I am the British Council Country Director for Indonesia, and it's a real joy for me to come back to UI, because UI has been a long-term partner for the British Council, so I always feel right at home when I return to UI. So thank you very much for having us again. And as Dr. Ova said, it's really exciting that we are having this great talk today in partnership between the British Council, UI, and Royal College of Art. And the purpose of this is to introduce you to the fantastic opportunities the UK, especially Royal College of Art, would offer to many of you. So by show of hands, do we already have people in the audience who have studied in the UK? Yay, we have at least one, Professor Mohammed, who I just spoke to. Fantastic, and hopefully many of you will follow in his footsteps and study in the UK, study at the Royal College of Art. So a huge thank you to our colleagues from Royal College of Art who will be joining us online today. It's a pity they can't fly all the way to UI, but hopefully in the near future. So I just want to highlight that the reason why we do things like this at the British Council, because the British Council is the UK's international organization for cultural relations and educational opportunities. And we have been working in Indonesia since 1948. So that means this year we are already 77 years old, which demonstrates our long-term commitment to building connections, understanding, and trust between the people of Indonesia and people in the UK. Now, education is an important part of that relationship, because education really brings our people together, creates opportunities for individuals like you, and then responds to common challenges we face as countries. And as you may have also heard, UK and Indonesia are entering a deepened relationship called the Strategic Partnership, which was launched by President Prabowo when he visited the UK last November. And in fact, next month, he's going to go back to London and sign the Strategic Partnership with my Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Within the Strategic Partnership, education is a key priority. So what we do here has that highest level of support and endorsement from your president and my prime minister. So no pressure. But what's important is for you as individuals to really make the most out of sessions like this, so that you will be able to pursue your dream, whether to study at Royal College of Art or collaborate with UK universities and researchers. So we will continue to do more events like this, hopefully in partnership with colleagues from UI. I would suggest you also follow the British Council on social media, Instagram and Facebook, so that you don't miss out on exciting events like this. I wish you all a very informative, productive and fun session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sommer, for the very kind and insightful remarks. Before leaving the stage, I would like to invite both parties from the British Council and from Universitas Indonesia to exchange a token of appreciation as a way to commemorate today's event. So please welcome again Dr. Ova and Mr. Sommer for the ceremonial.
So, Kak Nisrita, I think I would like to greet our speakers in the UK.
I think if we look there, we can see them. They can see us.
Which one? Hello. Hello, Mr. Chris Mitchell.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting us here today.
So, hi.
Oh, there.
How are you? How are you? Thank you for having time with us. Okay, and also then I would like to say hi also to Daniela.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. This is afternoon here.
Yo, good afternoon. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. So, Chris and Daniela, welcome in Universitas Indonesia, Faculty of Engineering. We are now gathering in our smart meeting room in Faculty of Engineering. Recently, we are also having students from Architecture Department, Universitas Indonesia. Welcome.
Excellent. Well, to say thank you for hosting us and hosting colleagues from Royal College of Art, we have a small token of appreciation. These are all batik inspired, so a combination of UK and Indonesia. So there you go.
This is batik.
Yeah. Thank you.
So here we have this is our sampler.
Very good.
Of 3R.
Oh, okay. This is from your faculty. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
from Faculty of Engineering.
Thank you.
And then we also have this for you as our say thank you to the British Council for managing the study UK Great Talks Navigating Uncertainty through Creative Innovation.
Oh, sama-sama.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ova and Mr. Sommer. Please give a round of applause to both of our opening remarks. Okay, and with that, we will start our event. As we have already introduced two speakers from the UK, today's event is for sure will be filled with insightful topics and discussions from our honored and beloved speakers. But before we move on to our speakers, let's all enjoy this video to give you an overview of study in the UK.
This is the United Kingdom, a place where ideas spark, cultures unite,
and futures are written.
England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, all inspiring places to study, where individual and diverse perspectives are celebrated, from breathtaking beaches and ancient ruins to cascading waterfalls and wild coastal cliffs. This land of opportunity thrives on collaboration.
Come and be a part of it.
Here in the UK, classrooms spark possibility.
Places where voices from every corner of the globe come together.
At our great universities, history and heritage meet innovation. Every field of study is led by world-renowned academics and professionals. Practical learning and expert guidance ensure graduates leave career-ready, equipped with the skills that thrive in a global marketplace. Part of a network that supports you long after you graduate. But this isn't just about learning.
It's about belonging.
It's in the music, the food, and the friendships formed over cups of tea and shared ambitions. Absorbing the energy of bustling city squares, the quiet and calm of the countryside, the ease of hopping on a train and discovering the whole of the UK. The opportunities for growth are endless. It's a place that will challenge you, support you, and then sit back and watch you thrive. The United Kingdom is more than a study destination. It's the launchpad for your future.
A place to grow. Be curious.
Be bold.
And discover who you are meant to be.
It's very interesting. Now we can see from the video that studying in the UK is not only about getting world-class education, but also for countless of opportunities to explore, from outdoor adventures and vibrant cultural festivals, all to the experience that foster personal growth. The UK truly stands out as a destination of opportunity, innovation, and global connections. Now, without further ado, we would like to welcome, and we're excited to hear from our colleagues at the Royal College of Arts. This lecture will explore on how creative education can respond to uncertainty, foster social justice, and empower students to tackle the world's most pressing wicked problems. So we would like to welcome Dr. Chris Mitchell and Dr. Daniel Barrios O'Neill again, joining us from the UK. Hello, good morning, doctors.
Good morning, good morning.
Good
Thank you so
morning.
much for welcoming us.
Good morning. Okay, we're very excited to hear from you. So you may take the stage.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start us off. So firstly, thank you so much for inviting us today. We are absolutely delighted to be here. Slightly sad that we can't join you in UI, but that's fine. What I'm going to be doing is sharing the screen, and what we'll be doing over the course of the next 40 minutes or so is looking at different aspects of that common theme about navigating uncertainty through creative education and providing very different perspectives on that. From the context of, I should explain a little bit about where we are speaking from. So we are both part of something called the Royal College of Art, which is a postgraduate only art and design institution, which has been around since 1837, based across 3 campuses in London. And Danielle and I lead different aspects of it, and we're going to take you through some of our thoughts on this key theme about how you navigate uncertainty. And I'm going to start us off. So my background is in education as much as the kind of creative side. So I lead an MEd in creative education at the RCA, and also have a role as the head of academic strategy development. And one of the things that we often talk about, and is often talked about in the literature, is this thing about the age in which we live today and how it is special. Now, I will be honest, if you look back at the history books about people talking about the ages in which they live, people always start their presentation with, well, now is very special. And to some extent, that has always been true. But there is some distinctive character about living in the world today. And that is about that acknowledged notion that advances in communications and transportation technology has effectively shrunk the world. What's described by the Stockholm Environment Institute as this great transition that we are all part of, where essentially this world has shrunk and we are entangled within these complex networks of mutual dependency. And it makes life potentially both very exciting, but also quite challenging. And what a lot of the literature talks about is not just this notion of complexity, but the idea of super complexity. The idea that the danger of this extraordinarily entangled world is that we become overwhelmed. We become overwhelmed as individuals, we become overwhelmed as institutions, we become overwhelmed as nation states, and we don't really have any solid foundations on which to stand. And there's an academic called Ron Barnett who talks about the danger of the world becoming radically unknowable. And that places challenges for all of us living in the world, but particularly it also places challenges for us to think about, well, what is the role of education in such a radically unknowable world? And I put a couple of examples on the screen here of some of the articles that have been written about education and higher education, and particularly some of the dangers that are posed. For those of you who are thinking about potentially going on and doing more study beyond where you currently are. Now, on the left, there's an article for a few years back, which I collected, about the advent of massive open online courses, MOOCs. So a lot of institutions were providing lots of their content and ideas free for anyone to study across the world. A lot of very, very high status institutions putting a lot of time, a lot of effort and a lot of expertise into developing these MOOCs. And there was a really interesting discussion across education about, is this the end? If we are providing everything that we have for free, why would anyone choose to come to university? And I really enjoyed going to lots of conferences which said, this is the end for universities. And the interesting thing was, it wasn't the end of universities. And now we're starting to see exactly the same thing around the use of generative AI tools, such as kind of ChatGPT, which essentially provide all of us, all the time, with access to arguably the sum of human knowledge. So I can walk around with my phone and my phone can continually tell me everything I need to know about where I find this item or where I engage with this theory. And again, I'm now attending all the same conferences saying, this is the end of education. Now, what I want to do is maybe give you a sense of some of the principles that we are starting to develop that might think maybe it's not the end of education, but maybe we need to shift or be more explicit about what education can provide that is unique in a world of generative AI. And I'll give you one example, and it's one example of a failure of mine, I'll be honest, where one of the programs that I do, the creative education program, we have a particular unit around curriculum design. And we ask students to engage with all the concepts of curriculum design and how you get designing the best student experience possible. And I decided to get them all, well, I put the assessment brief that those students were expected to do into ChatGPT. We dynamically generated what it came up with, and then I gave it to all of the groups. I set all of the cohort together. We went into groups and I said, Mark, imagine that you are the assessor. Mark this. Does it pass? And my somewhat naive assumption was that the answer would be no, and that we would go, clearly these tools aren't very good. The horrifying thing is I was wrong. And that nearly every single student team went, it's not great, but it's a pass, according to the criteria that you have given us. And my first slightly worried thought was, oh no, it is the end of university. But actually the outcome that I came to was, no, I haven't designed the assessment brief well enough. And what is it that I need to do to redo that assessment brief? Which was a brief that kind of said, compare this and compare that. Now, ChatGPT was brilliant at comparing this and comparing that. What we've now changed it to is redesign a session that you have experienced as a student, as an educator, as an observer. Tell us why, redesign it. What are you going to do about that? And we put that into ChatGPT and it can't do it. It can't pass. It can't even begin to be able to imagine it because there's no I to reflect on. And that has helped me and other people involved in creative education to think about, well, what is it that creative education provides that a tool cannot? And it's something I think that we all take for granted for those of us who work in creative education, creative arts, engineering. We start to have this starting assumption, which I don't think we spend enough time celebrating, which is we start off with the assumption you will, as a student, make something new. And I've been watching the videos that have been shown beforehand, and I've been watching out how many times do people talk about the word make. Now, what's interesting is if you go and spend, as I do, a lot of time with other people in other disciplines, they don't have that starting assumption. So I think it is worth exploring what are the consequences and what are the extraordinary things that can happen when your starting assumption is the outcome of your education is making something new. And I think part of that is thinking about where education can stop. So sometimes, and again, a lot of disciplines and disciplines that I have experienced, what we try and do through education is make sense of the world. Again, it's very difficult to make sense of the world sometimes because of the complexity and the super complexity and the whirlwind of things that are out there for us to try and engage with. But what we can do through thinkers, through people who have gone before us, and I provided a couple of examples here of people that have very much inspired me, is that they can help us make sense of the world. But I think if the education stops there, then we have a problem. And then that doesn't help us navigate that sense of complexity if we're just trying to make sense of it. I think the thing, and again, this came up in the videos that you've seen from lots of different institutions and lots of different people, they talk about community. They talk about the connections. And I think if we think about why someone would choose to come and study wherever it is in the world with a group of people, it is that opportunity to make connections. Connections between different people, different ideas, different disciplines, and I think critically, connections between different perspectives. And I think at their best, education institutions can provide an opportunity to be able to expose yourself to a range of different and sometimes conflicting perspectives, and to do so in a spirit of generosity that is rather than necessarily it's a competition between your different perspectives, but it's an opportunity to be able to, in a very concentrated fashion, to be able to see the different ways that people understand the world and learn from that. And I think the things that we make are so massively benefited from the connections that we make. But I think it goes beyond that. It also goes in a world where the world's information is available to us all of the time. Again, in certain ways, and the key thing about universities often talk about criticality and about that we are good at training people to be able to understand where that information is coming from and critique it. But also an increasing thing about universities is what we need to do is be able to encourage human qualities, reward human qualities of imagination, of curiosity, of reflection, things that we are uniquely able to do, which algorithms are not. And I think as part of that, it is giving students the opportunity to be able to make choices. So yes, you're making something new, you're creating something, you're trying things out. But I think it's really important that we offer students the opportunity to decide what it is that you want to be able to present that responds to those themes. And I run a unit, which I'll say a little bit more about later, where students have an incredibly open brief about what it is that they present. And it may be that the thing they do is an event, an experience, a workshop where they take people on the left-hand side. We walked across the River Thames in London, and they had a whole series of encounters along the way. Or it could be an object. And I think it's really important to think about, as particularly at the postgraduate level, is how we support students to make choices about what they present and how we design education to support that. And as part of that, I think it's really important in terms of that central idea of how you navigate uncertainty is to recognize that a fundamental part of living and being educated and studying is making mistakes. Now, what you will often see is people talking about innovation and experimentation and those being good things. But what we don't always acknowledge is if you innovate and if you experiment, if you take risks, then it's really interesting. The likelihood is that many of those experiments won't turn out as you want it to be. And I've had a couple of students do really fascinating projects around the notion of how you celebrate mistakes. Because one particular student, and I'm referenced on the kind of right-hand side, he did a project where he got his students to think about mistakes and to encourage them to think about mistakes throughout the whole program. And what he discovered throughout this is we tend to celebrate our successes. We talk about our successes. We publish our successes, whether it's within a curriculum or on social media. Our things that we perceive as failures, we keep private. We celebrate our successes. We keep our failures private. And what would education look like if we spent as much time celebrating the things that didn't go right? We had this extraordinary exhibition at the college a few years back, where run by the Students' Union, where they wanted to celebrate things that had not gone well. And they encouraged everyone, from the highest professor to the lowliest student, bring in some kind of evidence of a failure. And then they posted all of the walls in these examples of failure. Again, from everyone had it, every single person. Some of those involved not winning multi-million-pound contracts. Some of that might be not getting the place you wanted at university. And it was such a brilliant experience, because you're thinking, this is a really common experience. And yet this is not something we talk about. This is not something we share, which is not something we celebrate. And I think it's a really important part of the educational design and the way in which we actually prepare people to live in a complex world is to celebrate and to recognize the mistakes and the contribution that those mistakes make to our development as human beings. And finally, from my point of view, in terms of the principles, it's really important to talk about this fundamental question is, so what? We might make sense of the world, we might make connections, but I think the thing that we are increasingly trying to do within the programs at the RCA is think about that notion of how can we make meaning? How do we create that sense of purpose in the world? And what's interesting is about, again, this unit that I'm going to take you through a couple of examples through, we stumbled upon the thing that gave that unit meaning over 2 or 3 years, and it took us a while to understand it. But what the students have to do in this Education for Change unit is think about how they respond to these complex themes, how they can engage other people. And we realized that the meaning that came through that particular unit was doing things with other people, for other people. And what education can sometimes be is a wholly individual experience, or feel like it's presented as an individual experience. But ultimately, it is there, yes, to provide connections and all the other things that I've talked about, but it's there to potentially provide you with a sense of meaning about, this is, so what? What do I do with this? And at its best, education can provide that. So just before I pass on to Danielle, I just want to give a couple of examples from this unit, Education for Change, which is an interdisciplinary unit which students can elect to do from across the college. So we have architects, we have fine artists, we have designers, we have educators, we have researchers, all coming together in this unit. And what we say to them is, do something for us. The outcome of this is, in groups, find a theme that you are passionate about and do something for the rest of us. And I'm going to provide a couple of examples because I think they were so interesting ways in which to interpret the assessment brief, but also really demonstrated the ways in which people can follow their curiosity through education. So this first project, they were really interested in food production, food consumption, food waste. And so they, instead of doing a sort of lecture where they told us about all those things, they took us on a foraging workshop. So we went to a local park and we went through, and they had designed places in that park that we would all stop and we would pick food from trees or pick food from bushes, eat it, and then we would discuss some aspect of their themes. So it might be a short talk, it might be a poetry, it might be a question that they posed to all of us. And we walked together through this park, exploring all of the different aspects of food production, consumption and waste, and brought all the things we collected back to have a picnic together outside the college. Again, it only took an hour, but it was such a brilliant session to engage with those themes in a creative way that created that sense of they had choices and we made connections through it, and we established a sense of meaning by the end of it. Wonderful session. And it ended with, what are you going to do differently? So everyone wrote on a post-it note, a small sticky note, what am I going to do differently? A wonderful project. And the last one I want to talk you through is one which perfectly demonstrated to me the extraordinary capacity of humans to surprise you and surprise each other. So this group refused to tell me what they were going to do. They kept saying, all we want is a space. We want a nice little kind of space where we can do a small performance. And like I said, great, tell me what you're going to do. They said, we don't really want to tell you what we're going to do. Here's your, so I eventually provided them with a space. I knew their theme was plastic and anxiety about the overuse of plastic. And they created this wonderful little situation where we walked in and they had basically staged a funeral for this plastic bird that they had created. And they used the ceremony of a funeral with speakers, with song, with a kind of ceremonial kind of laying of candles to engage with this plastic bird, which showing images of the ways that kind of plastic is being washed up on beaches and not being properly used. And everyone was very nervous and everyone was very confused, but everyone settled into this rhythm. And we had this extraordinary, what I felt to be a really powerful session over kind of 30, 40 minutes. And then we were all asked to leave. And when I talked to them afterwards, I said, well, now I want to find out, why did you do this? Tell me about your thinking. And they said, we didn't want to engage people with the intellectual arguments because we think that people understand that. What we wanted to do was engage in people's emotions. That was why we chose that. And I thought it was a wonderful example of the thing that the themes that we're talking about imagination, reflection, curiosity. Those are the human qualities that will still be in need in years to come. And I think that project really demonstrated that. So for me, that's sort of my summary of what I think the potential of creative education can be, about how we use that notion of making something new to allow us to ultimately get to the point where we start to make meaning. So hopefully that is useful. I'm now going to pass on to my colleague who's going to provide some more different perspectives on how you engage with that common theme. And Daniel, are you happy for me to operate the slides?
Yes, that would be great. Thanks, Chris. And thank you so much for having us. I want to echo Chris's thanks for the very warm welcome. It's lovely to see everyone in the room. So my background is up until very recently, I led the RCA's program in information experience design. So that's basically how you take really complex data and information and how you turn that into experiences that are meaningful to people, often in the body or emotionally. So the funeral sort of piece that you just presented, Chris, was really, really beautiful and yeah, just lovely. Love that. And what I'm going to be talking about is where this is going, basically. So one of the kind of Chris's talk sort of set me up quite well in a way, because this goes right to the heart of where creative education needs to go, what we need, what we want, and what the role of artists and designers like you potentially are going to have in shaping that future. So as I said, my background is in experience design, and I'm very interested in complex systems. And for me, creative education is at least in part about how to maintain curiosity and criticality in a time of, as Chris just referred to it, as super complexity. We're constantly now living under conditions of extreme and rapid change. So how do you remain curious in that environment and creative and interested and critical? Being an artist in the world as it is now, I think means learning to understand and experiment with the systems around us, even while they're transforming very, very fast. So in this kind of context, every act of design is already impacting the present and the future. It's already a prototype for a future that you might want. So every act of design is a meaningful act, and every act of art is a meaningful act. In that spirit, I'm going to now borrow a tool from the experimental design classroom and sketch out 3 what I'm calling micro futures. So these are just snapshots of possible futures for creative education. They're not predictions. It's about extrapolating from where we are now in creative education and at the RCA and extrapolating to what that could be in 3 possible futures. Chris, could you change the slide for me? So we're going to start like this. It's 20 years from now. We are in a university classroom, but we're outside. Designers and artists are working together in mixed use studios that are also open air biomes. We've got afternoon light kind of coming down through the dome above us. This dome is composed of living algae that converts CO2 into oxygen. Maybe it contributes energy back to the building or to the site. There are sensors in the soil around us that are tracking moisture and nutrient exchange. Data from the sensors is feeding into live displays. And the students, the designers and artists are using the live displays to understand the impact that their designs are having on the environment in real time. When these students have what we call crits, when they're presenting their work to each other and getting critiques, they're giving critiques of technical skill and the aesthetic qualities of the work, as well as the work's impact on the local ecosystem. Because in this microfuture, one of the most important values or purposes of creative art design is to create value for everyone, not just the artist or the culture that's doing the designing, but for the whole system. And so you might, in this context, in this future, you might get judged, your work might be assessed on how the soil quality or the air quality responds to your designs. Systemic impact is like a necessary design value for everyone. Maybe when tutors are giving feedback, if Chris or I was giving feedback directly on your work when you presented it, that might be, we might not use the word innovation as often as we use words like resilience or repair, for example. So this microfuture is about the ways in which creative education is aligning increasingly with planetary metabolism. So the idea that like the learning space and the workspace for creatives is inseparable from the ecosystem. This is a reasonably plausible microfuture for education because remember, this is 20 years in the future. Climate crisis is already an overarching condition under which artists and designers are operating. So this just kind of takes that several steps further. And students at the RCA and everywhere are already feeling this urgency. So would you mind changing the slide, Chris? These are just a couple of examples of work that's already happening at the RCA that is approaching these kinds of ideas and beginning to generate this kind of university. So on the right, you have the top right, Musitex. So this is a design prototype by Carmen Azor. This was a regenerative design prototype. The material that the dress is made of that you can see there, it uses banana fiber and agricultural waste to grow biodegradable textiles. But this design is not just about the textile, it's also about the whole lifestyle, or sorry, the whole life cycle of the textile. So from how it's sourced and supplied, the network and supply chain, all the way through the end of its life and how it degrades and contributes back to the ecosystem. The design also includes the production methods and how farmers are connected with local cooperatives and artisans and mills and the entire kind of system. So all of this is to not just privilege the environment, but also local knowledge from the people who are feeding into the system and to support ecological integrity in their environment. Another piece that approaches this in a really different way is Nahuel Bastereche's culture mining. So this was a project from Information Experience Design, so I know this project well. This was an artwork that was composed of what you're sort of looking at there on the left. It is an installation. It's a microbial colony lives in the little sort of plastic box there that you see. And it is attached to sensors and a custom computer system that monitors and manipulates the conditions for the colony. So for example, it measures the light and the temperature, and it optimizes for the growth of this microbial colony. So the only sort of instruction that the computer system has is to keep this colony growing. Over time, left to play out, the system, so the human steps away, and it's just the living system and the computer system. So it's like a wetware sort of system. Over time, the feedback loops lead to a kind of inevitable logical endpoint, which is breakdown and disintegration of the system. So this kind of invites reflection on what would happen if we allow our own algorithms of constant growth to sort of follow out to their logical conclusions. And it kind of invites reflection on what would happen if we reverse that relationship. What if systems were built to listen and adjust to other communities rather than simply to expand, for example? Another project is the one in the bottom right there, CCOM. So this was a collaborative project by several students. And this was, again, about capturing biological data from coral reefs and coastal zones so that that could be interpreted so that people can understand the kind of, say, the mood of a reef or of a living system or of a blue whale, for example, by communicating with it and then getting feedback back. And no doubt you have seen by now, there have been plenty of headlines about AI tools being used to sort of decode or translate signals from other species and other environments. And I'm going to come more to that because that will be a big area of development for artists and designers in coming years. Could we go to the next slide? Thanks, Chris. Okay, so that was one future. Let's go forward again. Now we're 30 years in the future. So it's 2055. You're a student, you wake up in your university satellite campus, which is in orbit. You wake up to see the Earth rising over the curve of the moon in your window of your capsule. You're a student in the Cosmic Studio. So this is a satellite mini campus. It's one of many for this particular university. So there are orbital labs, there are desert observatories, there are underwater habitats where students can live, do residency for periods of time, and then return to the main campus. It's a kind of, it's a way to work across remote scales of space and time that we don't normally get access to, but that are becoming more and more accessible to us. By this time, 2055, it's entirely normal to create artworks that are going to be enjoyed by people 2, 3, 4 generations from now. Artwork is not just for our current population. One student might be over here in a capsule designing habitats that cultivate empathy between astronauts and artificially intelligent life, for example. Or another one is over here designing games for low gravity environments that work with the kinetics of space and the human body. So the universe is the classroom. We do think of this as a kind of fantasy, but it's not a fantasy. Industry is moving in this direction, so education will move in this direction. Private space agencies, open data, satellites, remote sensing networks, these are all there now. They're normal and they're already making space more sort of reachable for us. So in this context, we'll be thinking about how artists and designers sort of inhabit that space as translators, how we interpret the experience, the sort of emotional and ethical dimensions of our place in the universe. It will change how we think about ourselves as we understand the universe to be bigger and bigger. And in the case of the game designer, it's like figuring out new ways to have fun in the universe, which is pretty great that there are still ways to have fun that we haven't discovered yet. Again, at the RCA, our students are already exploring these ideas. So if we could go to the next slide, Chris. Thank you. So these are just some of the projects that are in this area. There were a lot to choose from, so I just sort of picked 4. But a Star Rift, which is the bottom left. So this project collects data in the form of light spectra and radiation signals, and it reinterprets these via immersive installations. And the point of this piece is that you're basically watching it on a big screen, but it's based on live data feeds. And it's designed to help us kind of internalize the vastness of space in a friendly way. So it kind of helps audiences sort of connect their own memories and their own stories to a kind of ongoing narrative of what's happening in outer space. In the bottom right, this is a shot from a performance of Rong Shi's work called Symphony of the Cosmos. So this is based on real live astrophysical data that ones are intended to orbit indefinitely until they burn up in space or until they're possibly discovered in the future. And again, these are these sort of really interesting ways of figuring out what art and design will do in the future, but also what we kind of have to do in the future. How do we explore these places with our imagination as well as sort of scientifically, and what do we use the science for? How do we make it meaningful? If we go to the next slide, so this is the last microfuture. This is my favorite one, the post-anthropic art school. So we're going to fast forward again. Now we're 50 years in the future. So it's 2075. In this microfuture, students share studios with other species. So fungi, plants, synthetic organisms, artificial intelligence. We have maybe buildings that are augmented by or constructed of mycelial networks, for example, so they can communicate through robotics and respond to the environment, but also communicate with us. By this point, designers and scientists and ethicists have collaborated for decades to devise increasingly better ways of understanding how to collaborate with non-humans. So human students might be able to, for example, understand the mood of a fungal network by the ambient sound that is translated by the building, or by bioluminescent kind of pulses in the lighting that communicate something like the opinions of the local forest. So here, artists and designers are able to kind of develop new concepts by collaborating directly with non-humans, which we are learning how to do now. Again, artificial intelligence is a big part of this, but also simply just understanding the structures of intelligence. This is one of the most interesting things about AI, is that even with all of the stuff that it can do, one of the most exciting things it can do is show us how, or give us a kind of live illustration of how intelligence evolves. And so we're kind of watching that, and we'll learn lots about how other intelligences, non-human intelligences, organic intelligences also evolve, and we'll understand that better too. Learning and making with other than humans is something that's, this is a kind of movement in art and design now. And by this time, by 2075, it's become a normal part of human creativity. Maybe we've accepted by now that creativity is not uniquely human, that maybe creativity is a property of all living systems. It's a shared capability. So maybe at that stage, it's not about human genius and wonder at human ability, but maybe humans are in this very special position from which to facilitate multi-species sort of creation. If we go ahead to the next slide, I'll show you some examples of how this is already taking shape. Again, there are so many examples that we could have chosen, but I just sort of picked three. So in the top sort of image there, so that's Yi-Yin Kang's, she's a PhD graduate from the RCA. This is her piece, Finite. So this is a huge, if you can imagine, a huge kind of projection mapped object in space. She's projected this on the side of huge buildings in multiple cities around the world. And it's also an immersive installation that you can go into that explores the life cycle of digital systems. So it sort of treats a digital system like a living organism with a birth and a maturing process and decay. And it sort of takes you through that whole process from the inside, and you can watch it from the outside. And it's rhythmic sort of methods to continuously kind of evolve the artwork. And it makes these parallels between biological and technological ecosystems. So it kind of invites us to reflect on our own ethical responsibilities towards the systems that we create, including digital ones. In the bottom right, we have Neerat Ben-Meir's piece, Destabilized Common Ground. So this was a very simple project that made a big splash. This was basically it was a moss colony that she cared for and grew. And visitors would come into the installation space and they would be invited to carefully interact with it. So to mist it with water or to dry it a little bit with a sort of hair dryer. And you could watch via kind of heat mapping that was projected on the walls what was happening to the moss. You could see the pods open up. You could see some of the colony sacrificing itself around the edges so that the colony in the middle was protected and so on. And what this was a piece to get us to think about how other species live, protect each other, what a collective is. And it was a centerpiece in multiple kind of diplomatic conversations at Davos in the year that she graduated. This is 2022. And this was a kind of conversation piece to kick off discussions about coexistence. And then finally, in the bottom left, this is just a quick workshop shot from the Post-Anthropocentric Design Lab, which is a research group that I'm a part of. And in this piece, we were exploring the experience of foxes, urban foxes that live in London, which was just one of like many perspective shifting workshops that were a part of that project. If we just go ahead to the next slide, that would be good. Thanks, Chris. So thinking about these sort of micro futures, like I said, these are not predictions, although I do think that a lot of this will happen. Who knows if it'll be exactly 20 years or whatever, but I do think that these things will happen. The beginnings of them are visible now in work that's already being created. And it's interesting because they start to offer some answers to some of the questions that Chris raised about what education is for, what creativity is for. And also, it kind of underlines the role of artists and designers now. So if you're studying art and design now, or if you want to be, your work will be at least partly about learning how to listen deeply to others. And that's not just human others. And to find new ways to collaborate across boundaries, maybe space and time boundaries or species boundaries or intelligence boundaries that right now seem uncrossable. In the future, that won't be the case. So part of your role will be developing that. So that's all for me. I think this is a really exciting position to inhabit, and as an artist and designer, and hopefully you do too, and really interested to hear your questions and feedback. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chris and Dr. Daniel, for the eye-opening topic. It's very interesting to see the works you have over at RCA. So before going to the discussion, we will welcome our next speaker. Bringing this conversation home, we now welcome Dr. Mikta Farid Al-Qadri, SRs MRs from the Architectural Sciences and Building Technology Research Cluster, Department of Architecture, Universitas Indonesia, to share his perspective on architectural education in our local context. Welcome, Dr. Mikta.
Check.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much from British Council for having me today in this wonderful event. Also, I'd like to give a great appreciation to Department of Architecture, University of Indonesia, for having me as one of the speakers today. And also, good morning to all the speakers in the UK right now. So yeah, good afternoon here in Jakarta, in Depok. So my name is Mikta. So currently I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Architecture. So from the cluster research of building technology, architectural science and building technology. And today I'd like to share a little bit about architecture science and computation in relation to the local context in Indonesia. So yeah, this is my expertise. So my research area is around these three things: integrated environmental simulation, remote sensing technologies, and also digital or robotic fabrications. So there are several topics basically that we have been doing so far, but I'm not gonna cover it all. So I'd like to probably mention some of this that, yeah, due to the time wise as well. So let me start. Yeah, as an architect, so we are obliged to pursue this SDGs, especially SDGs 11, right? So sustainable cities and communities. So there are three parts that we need to address as an architect, as a future architects. For example, like promoting the urban planning, investing in renewable energies, and also like protecting cities from vulnerable issues like climate change and natural disasters. So in order to answer this, in order to address this part, so I'd like to bring you all to this questions. Can design be considered as a science? And also, is architectural design is a scientific discipline or not? So these are my premises for the presentation actually. So why I pose these questions, because we as architects, like we're doing our daily basis in the standard practice, like we're only we're collaborating on many partners, but we haven't really aware about like our colleague next to us, like from engineer, from scientists, when doing the designs. But actually, like, can we also actually like architects be one of the novel recipients? How do you say, Nobel recipients in the words, like was it any change for us as an architect? So in order to answer these questions, basically, so I'd like to start with this. So I'm quoting from Oxford Dictionary, like science is actually knowledge about the structure, behavior of natural and physical world based on facts that you can prove by experiments, for example. So if we take a look at this definition, so it's basically like a very empirical perspective. So what about this one? What about non-physical issues like emotions, cultures? Do they actually exist in science? So if we take a look the overview of how scientists discover the things. So basically, so scientists they don't actually really invent the things. They can, I mean, to date, the scientists are doing is discovering the existing things. We can see the example like biomimicry or biomimetic approach. So it's basically like how to replicate or how to mimic the natural mechanisms in the world and like put it into different contexts, like in architectural perspective. So it's basically how to integrate the natural mechanism, the natural world into our design context. And what about architects as building and city designers? What do we need to do in this context? So in order to answer this question, so I'd like to bring you all to the definition of architecture basically. So I'm quoting from Sevel. Sevel is my previous promoter in TU Delft. So she argued that architecture is a science of designing and constructing building according to people needs. For example, like physical, moral, spiritual, and cultural values. So by making use of alpha, beta, and gamma science. Alpha science refers to the subjective world, which is beauty, moral, artistic, and intuitive soul, which is most architects probably had. Like when we do design, so we mostly tend to rely on our subjective judgment or our intuitive. And the second one is like the objective world, which is relates to the facts, logic, and rational minds. Like, yeah, at this part, like somehow we need to quantify different things like daylight or something, or other performances that can eventually embed or affect to our design decision. And the third one is the most important part is society and culture, where we need to position ourselves as an architects. Like, how do we contribute to the society and also cultural world. So this one is the type of knowledge that we are not fully aware, basically, like especially when doing our daily practices as an architect. So if we take a look, like there are two parts. So explicit knowledge is dealing with the data, documents, records, and files, where mostly like objective part in this part. But the second one is that the more important one is the tacit knowledge that already owned by the person or the architect. So it is basically not transferable, or it's hard to transfer because it deals with the experience, thinking, competence, and commitment. And that's where we as an architect need to elaborate between the tacit and also the explicit knowledge, especially when we do the design process. And in order to do that, why do we need to actually do that or elaborate those further? Because we need to deal with the intelligent designers, especially in this era. Like there's a lot of AIs going on currently. So why? Because the intelligent designer needs to be able to elaborate the mathematical or hard and intuitive or soft intelligence, especially when dealing with the complex design problems. So this is the thing that we have been doing so far, how to combine or how to integrate, how to collaborate with other disciplines in order to solve like the current advanced situation or the most complex problems especially in architecture and building technologies. So. And this coming up a computational design as a technique that we use or as an approach that we use here. But what I'd like to argue here is basically like we are flooding by massive computational tools, but sometimes we're not aware like how the computational tools affect or how computational tools can help us to do or to formulate the design process or to formulate the design decisions. And this is where we need to understand that computational design approach basically like it's kind of like approach that takes the advantage of computation definition in this part. So it's not only relying on representational or visualization tools, but we take into consideration that computational design in this part is a reliable partner. So we make computer as a partner. So we put some input and then they give us a feedback, and also so they're kind of like systematic loop. In this case, then at some point, eventually, we come up with the design decisions. And that's where the computational intelligence techniques playing a major part in this case. So next slide, I guess I'm going to show some projects that we've been doing so far in our labs related to the computational parts. The first one is heritage preservation, and also this relates to Indonesian culture. So we try to take a look Indonesian heritage building in this case, but by making use of potential application of 3D point cloud data from the 3D scanner. So if you know the 3D scanner, so we scan the entire building or the existing environment, and then we're basically not only can make like 3D reconstruction like the most heritage works do, but also we can actually analyze further the material properties from this, and then we can detect eventually the condensations. So to prevent the physical crack happens before we find out actually. So. This is the basic part, the basic mechanism of how the 3D scanner work basically. So they will emit some laser scanner, and then they will bouncing back to the scanner. and then they will record like kind of like the energy or position information, intensity information, and color information, and that's where the researcher or the architects can do some simulation or other research goals. So in this case, if you see like one dot, if I can give you some analogy, like if you zooming in one picture that you took, so if you can zoom in, so you will have like one pixel, but in 3D point cloud, so you can have like 1 point among like 1,000 or millions of points. But 1 point basically consists of like, there are like 7 or 8 typical 8 properties that you may find here. And then that's where we try to analyze further how the attributes of point cloud here playing a part to identify the material properties. So we try to take a look. We try to mapping the Chutmutia Mosque here. Yeah, we try to take I guess it's not changing the slides. So we try to map the condensation part in Chutmutia. And then put some label or coding on it, and then we try to integrate with the in-situ measurement. So yeah, it's coming. So and then by using some thermal camera, so we elaborate our methods to do the mapping, and this is what we what's the workflow, and then at the end. We are enabled to identify which one the area that have a most or potentially have a condensation, so we can prevent earlier before the physical crack appears. Actually, yeah. So we put some spots because they're also dealing with some technical problem in the building, so we need to differentiate which one is coming from the condensation, which one issue coming from the building heavy IC systems. Yeah, so we're using the BRDF, bidirectional reflection different functions. So it's optical properties. So we try to come up with this idea because optical properties dealing with not only with the reflection intensity, but also with the angle of view when the laser scanner coming up and bouncing back from the surface. And then it gives us an insight that if the less specular surfaces, it will signify that it's most the potential wet surfaces will detect. And this is the area, so we come up with the albedo value, BRD value, emissivity value, and then like, yeah, we finally get the condensation areas from the buildings. I'm moving into some interesting also potential application of 3D scanning and 3D printing. In this case, so yeah, so it's kind of like a loop from 3D scanning, digital object, 3D printing, and real objects. So this is actually, we try to reprinting the heritage. So this is actually, the case is actually not in Indonesia, it's in Delft. But the interesting part is like the issue of the building is basically like this is very old building, but it's have several cracks due to the earthquake. So what happens if there's another earthquake and then crash down the whole building? So the idea is to make some replica by using the 3D scanning and 3D printing. So if the building is going to crash, and then we have the real data set, and then we can produce exactly as the original one. But due to at that time, we also challenged the technologies at that time. So we tried to make a 3D printing out of it and make some, so we're dealing with the color information and also the texture of the buildings because it's a 70s painting, there's the very old painting and then which is kind of like which was produced around 70s. So we try to come up with that idea and also the geometric. So it's two different buildings actually. And the other one is digital reconstruction. So we're moving to Indonesia, so in Wairebo. So this project. We actually got funding from Oxford Brookes from UK. So the PI is Bu Yulia. At this time, a co-PI for this research. So we try to do some computational procedure to preserve the vernacular housing of Wairebo. So Wairebo is a very nice heritage or vernacular buildings in Indonesia, and it's received one of the highest awards from the UNESCO 2015, I guess. And then we try, but at the time there's a kind of like a gap between how the tacit knowledge of the young generation and between the old generation, because they don't have knowledge to reconstruct the building. So what we do, so what the architects do, which is Mr. Pak Yoriantar at the time. So in order to build or to help them to build the reconstruction of the buildings, they need to crash down one buildings, which is cost a lot because the structure is coming from the protected forest, so it costs a lot of money, of course. So we try to come up with the idea to how to preserve the digital reconstruction of the building of the vernacular. So we stayed there like 2 weeks. So we come up with the 3 different techniques. So terrestrial laser scanners, so aerial digital imagery using drones, and also with the camera, with 3 different angles camera to make the high resolution digital reconstruction. So this is actually the one of the, but still draft, one of the outputs. And then we also not only exterior, but also we coming to the interior part of the building, because we're at the end we're having a lot of information to explore the structure, the materials, and all the things. This is also one of interesting project that's been done, still going on actually. Like it's called coral reefs. Yeah, we try to. It's some lagging actually. A computational reconstruction method to do some artificial coral reefs using shape grammars and swarm intelligence. So I've been presenting this in Kadria in Tokyo this year. Oh, let me. Sheesh. Yeah, this one. So yeah, there's Heidi, Ricky, Eileen, and other teams. Yeah, so the idea is like you know, like we have our sea is very rich, but due to some industries or construction, so it's difficult to protect it, and some of those constructions so make some effect to our coral. So this is one of the idea to preserve the coral reef. So we try to 3D print the coral and by using some computational intelligence and this. So yeah, so there are several phases. So we study the branching, the bone, and we study the particle swarm as well. How to mimic the behavior of the corals and also the fish, and also the movement of the fish, and also the wave in the sea. And we do some objective optimizations to achieve which one is the most optimum geometry that we will like to produce for the 3D fabrication at the end. Yeah, so we came up with several solutions, and and we do some structural analysis. And yeah, we analyze the structural parts and displacement results. And then at the end of the day, we're producing the most optimum branch that are strong enough to be produced or to be fabricated. Yeah, that's still going on actually. Like we 3D printed, that we try to some trial and errors in this case. So I'm gonna skip this. It's a thermal bridge basically, but not so interesting, I guess. It's a simulation. This one. So we recently have a workshops about the robotic fabrications. So which also using some our natural woods in the forest in UI here. So we're collaborating with the Florida Atlantic University, and so this is the workflow. So we use we scan the natural wood, and then we 3D scan, and then we collected the digital model. We build the digital model, and then we put it again into the robots. So yeah, I'll play some videos. It's actually have some sound here, but I don't know. Yeah, my time has. Let me check. Yeah, let me share one more project that are from our course, digital. It's called digital fabrications. So yeah, at that time, our team is wearable body architecture. So we tell the students to come up with some ideas. Some come up with silly ideas, but yeah, they finally can execute it delicately. So here's some of the projects that may be interesting. that can expand according to the mechanism that they produce. One more. So it's a little bit delay. So the idea is basically to introduce the digital fabrication technologies to students in a fun way. Yeah, I guess that's, I'm coming to my final slides. So, yeah, I'm waiting for the slide to come. Yeah, so this is my final slide. So it's coming from even though I haven't had any chance to study in UK, but I'm one of big fans of Prime Minister from UK, Winston Churchill. So, and it's really relevant with our disciplines in architecture. So he said, first we shape our dwellings, and our dwelling shape us, and that affects our daily practices when we do not only in teaching, but also in daily practices as an architect. So whenever we do as an architect, so we need to consider not only building, but also the built environments. That's all from my side. Thank you very much, and thank you for the great opportunity to talk today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mikta, and give a round of applause. Thank you for sharing your perspective and also your work and research. They're all very interesting. So last but not least, our next speaker is a proud alumnus of the Royal College of Art who brings her own personal story of transformation. Let's hear it from Gabriela Inalea Fernandez as she reflects on applying her UK experience to Indonesia's creative industry and the values of staying human in the digital age. Inalea, are you with us?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Please.
I'm here. You can call me Gabriela, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. The stage is yours.
A big honor to be able to share here today. My name is Gabriela. I want to share maybe some of my experience as an RCA alumna. I am taking the MFA Arts and Humanities. I took Arts and Humanities 23-24 in the focus of health and care. And I also took the elective of Masters of Research, which I'm going to share about later as well. I'm a musician. I'm a visual artist, and I am a practitioner for art for well-being. In Indonesia, I took psychology in Sanata Dharma University in Yogyakarta. And then afterwards, I took like whole lots of years of fully doing my career as a musician and as a therapeutic art practitioner. And I didn't really think to start to enter the academic world again. And then I was like thinking, do I want to take a master's? Do I want to try and get the chance to experience the education in the UK, for example? And I was like, okay, let's go for it. And then I experienced a lot of wonderful things that I want to share to you. So if you are having a doubt or you are having some kind of fear or confusion, feel free to ask me as well. We can also discuss about it. I want to share some of my, maybe a little bit of introduction. In my career, I was a full-time musician. I talk about mental health and well-being in my work. I was also from East Nusa Tenggara, so I'm so excited when Pak Mikta was talking about Wairebo. This is the circular dance in East Nusa Tenggara that has been a big inspiration for my research and my art practice that I bring here. It's called Sokaleu or Sole Oha, and or maybe in my area it's called Dolo dance, which is a very participatory. There's a blur between who is performing and who is participating, who is watching, because everyone is included. Inclusivity is very big as well, which is a big theme for me as a neurodivergent artist and as a participatory or as a improvisator in my performances. I did art for well-being practices like painting to music, rhythmical painting, inviting people to participate. And I also work as an educator, and I want to share the RCA experience. So when I took the MFA, I am fascinated with its cross-context and cross-modality, interdisciplinary practices, because I feel like with my type of thinking, with my way of being in the world, I cannot choose one thing. And I feel like in this era, interdisciplinarity is something, or maybe you can also mention transdisciplinarity is something that is very important. I want to combine psychology in my BA with music that I did or with art, visual art that I did. And I'm trying to find ways on how to put that into an academic framework, for example. That's why I decided, okay, I want to do this. And I chose MFA as well because it's very interesting how everyone are expected to bring something to the table already. So one big thing about me having the whole 5 or 6 years before I start the master's again is I have done my trial and error, and then I know what I want to learn more, and I know what I still need, what is that I'm still lacking. And when I bring it here, the conversation and the discussion with the other people who are also maybe having the same question or different, very different questions is very interesting. Getting to meet other people from very different backgrounds, I can see my topic and my practice from different lenses and discussing it with students and lecturers from many different backgrounds, which I really appreciate. In RCA, I also get to be combined with like students from other programs. For example, when I took the AMRES interdisciplinary and collaboration as method, in the elective, I get to learn about how to put my practice into a research lens. And I also learn about so many inspiration from the other students that Daniel and Chris has also shared as well, which I witnessed as well in the one compact year of RCA, which is really inspiring. And coming to the UK, the circular dance that I researched, so before I start my master's, I did a research to Adunara and areas in East Nusa Tenggara, where I interviewed the elders, interviewed the people about this beauty of the circular dance, which is very non-hierarchical. It's very having a big emphasis on collaborative co-creation and also horizontal learning, where I am trying to apply that in my education or in my teaching job in the UK here as well. I learned a lot about global decolonizing movements and sensitivities and seeing how the global trends move to collectivity again and emphasis on community again, which Indonesian are very good at. And it's something that I want us to be proud of. And I see it's something that I want to highlight as well in my practice. One interesting thing is also the non-hierarchical kind of vibe between the lecturer and the students in RCA, which opens a lot of like critical thinking and curiosity to flourish, which I really appreciate. We really talk like we are friends or we are like colleagues in some ways. And also another thing that I did is also an activation in St. George's Hospital, because my focus is health and care, we get the chance to experience how art is used in hospital settings or in healthcare settings. And we are getting real life experience on how we collaborate in those kind of settings. So that's some of my experience. I'm just gonna be very quick because I only got maybe a few minutes left. And then these are the values that I want to also share. These are my degree show, which I can open up to collaborate with musicians from around the world here, because London, it's very, very varied and very, very rich. And I meet lots of people, and then I get to experiment a lot with interdisciplinary medium. So I'm combining music and painting here. I did live painting with the rhythmical kind of method, with participatory and call and response kind of singing that are inspired by my heritage in the Istmus Tenggara as well. How I also get to share about the education, the context in Indonesia that I did with the children in Taman Daun Lembata, for example. I get to ask people here to also participate in the participatory art experiences. And I also get to try to experiment with how I reimagine the woven fabric in Indonesia in ways that I can also put it in the art for well-being classes that I host weekly here in London. These are the things that happen in 1 year. There's a lot. I cannot share a lot of them, but it's very exciting, and you can see the variety of it, which is really exciting. But what my highlight would be is going to be the Art with Inalea workshops and therapeutic painting, where I invite people to paint rhythmically to the music that I arrange, and then ask them to express themselves and use this as a tool instead of having to show off or having to generate something perfect. Because I think my take on AI art in AI era is that AI can do that already. Us as humans can lay back, and then we can focus on expression and embodied experience, which as a facilitator is a big vision that I want to introduce to more people, because lots of people have fear to be able to use this as a tool for well-being. And these are some of the amazing chances that I get after graduation. So I got here from a scholarship from LPDP, and I'm still here under the scheme of activating my art for 2 years. And I get a lot of wonderful experience of learning art residencies. This one is with Wigmore Hall. I get to put my painting and collaborate with jazz musicians in London. And I also get to, this is some of my article about inclusivity and neurodiversity, if you want to check it out in my Substack. And also I get a lot of experiences with lots of communities, and I get lots of chances to do an art residency. This one is residency in Dartmoor, which talks about radical ecology and how my dance metaphor can also be used in neurodiversity and also ecology and sustainability. And also this is some of the example of the painting to music class. I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast because I'm like, oh my God, time is running out. But yeah, this is the weekly classes that I am really having a big hope for, and hoping lots of people can bring home tool for their well-being, where I ask people to paint, express themselves, and use the art as the tool. These are some of the participatory performances with improvisative singing that was inspired by the singing culture in Istmus Tenggara. And I also, after the training in Wigmore Hall, I get involved in lots of care homes where I sing for people with dementia. And also I learned a lot about London Creative Health Movement, which is very interesting, and how art and community practices are very integrated in the NHS, for example, with the social prescription scheme that I really wish that can also be happening in Indonesia. So I'm also hoping that we can revisit, reactivate, and transforming the practices and the heritage that sadly are often start to be forgotten in Indonesia, but to reposition it to the point that it can be relevant to today's issue. For in my case, it's about the well-being and how art can be directly used for people to be able to bring home this tool that is very, very, very nice for the well-being. And I learned as well how in this global context, people are actually starting to rediscover the indigenous practices from around the world, or community or the collective practices that are very, very, that have a lot of wisdom. And that is something that I want us Indonesian to be proud about, because we did that already so many years ago and we start to forget about it. And when I come here so far to the UK, it actually opens my eyes that what we had is beautiful, what we have is very amazing. And how us, for example, as an artist, a designer, as creatives of this age can retransform it or trying to make it relevant to our needs today. So maybe that's all for me in a very short moment. For further question and discussions, please connect with me here, and I am more than happy to answer some of your questions or discuss more with you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. What a lively experience you have in the UK, and I'm certain that everyone here is inspired by your journey. Okay, and we would like to also invite all of our speakers back to the screen, and Dr. Mikta, please join us with here on stage. And also, we would like to invite Miss Gita Goinda as the Senior Marketing Manager for Study UK Southeast Asia British Council to answer any questions you have about Study UK. So please, Dr. Mikta and Miss Gita, you may join us on the stage. And maybe we can have on the screen Gabriela, Dr. Daniel, and Dr. Chris again. And we would also like to welcome any questions from everyone here. If any of you in the room would like to ask. So, would like to ask any question, you may raise your hand, or if there's anyone in the Zoom meeting who would like to ask a question, you may raise your hand or type in the chat box. Also, for everyone joining us from YouTube and Instagram, please. Okay, anyone from the room? Okay, so if there's no, while waiting, I think I would like to ask some questions to, especially to the speakers right now. So as creative professionals and educators, so we have Dr. Mikta, we have Dr. Daniel and Dr. Chris, we also have Ms. Gabriela here, who is also an educator herself. So I would like to ask, how do we ensure that the next generation of architects or designers or artists can embrace the technological advancement and digital transformation, AI included? How can we embrace that without losing the essence of humanity, of human-centered and cultural rooted activity? So perhaps I would like to hear first about from Ms. Gabriela, because you did mention something about AI, so it's very interesting for me.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't want to close myself for those amazing rapid growth, and I think in RCI I meet a lot of students who work with AI and technological, which is something very different with what I do, and I think with this kind of differences in skill set and backgrounds, I think what I am thinking to do is to do more collaboration instead of forcing myself to learn all of these, for example, because I tend to do something more manual and more tangible, tactical. And then I've been having conversations with students who are also working on how to do the VR kind of version of the collective experience. So we can still putting the emphasis on the human connection, but using the AI or the technology as a tool instead of something that replaces us. And also it's something that can help a lot in the mental well-being world as well, because it can open up accessibility and open up lots of possibilities if being used correctly and with lots of care. I think gestures of care is very important. So if we have that base, I think we're gonna be good.
Okay, so technology is there to help, not to replace us, and I do agree with that. Perhaps there's other insights from Dr. Daniel or Dr. Chris. I also remember you sharing some experience about teaching students of how to use AI in their work like properly and ethically. Maybe you can share more on that.
So I'm happy to come in on that, if that's okay. One of the things that is really important, I think, is to be open to what's possible. So for students, for educators, and for artists and designers in other contexts as well, if you kind of opt out, or if you don't feel confident, as almost nobody does in the new kind of AI sort of world, if you feel like you're not an expert and you sort of back off and don't engage, I think that you end up leaving it to people who have maybe a commercial interest in developing these tools, or some other kind of interest, which is maybe less about human well-being and more about some other goal. So I think with that in mind, we kind of have a duty to embrace and develop these technologies to serve really human-focused ends. So the key is to be, I think, courageous and kind of open-minded, but also critical concerning what might go wrong, what the risks are, whose interests are being served, and who might be being left out, and some really important questions like this. So it's be brave, be excited, but also have a critical mindset about it. I think that would be the kind of position that I tend to take in the classroom.
I see. That's a very interesting perspective, and also a great summary of being critical is very important. Perhaps Dr. Chris?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah, you raised your hand.
I think I absolutely sort of agree with those things. And I think we've always used tools, and this is obviously an extraordinary tool or a set of tools that we will get to use, but we've always had tools to help us make things. And I think the key thing is for me not about being. I completely agree with Gabriela and Danielle. Is engaging intellectually and emotionally with these tools and interrogating the relationship that we have. We had a student project last year where they were talking about people's creative confidence when they are collaborating with an algorithm. And what does that do to your creative confidence? Do you still feel that it's yours, or is it a shared thing? And does that matter? So I think for me, it's very much, it's here. I agree with the comments that it's courageous, but recognizing that it is a tool, but recognizing also what we bring as humans that are distinctive to us, that imagination, that reflection, those curiosity, those are the things which I think are distinctly human. And so whenever we think about what the future looks like and how we engage with that future, it's remembering what we bring rather than just what the tool brings.
I see. That's also very interesting. So again, to remember that we are human and we are, at the end of the day, still the center of it. So maybe one last comment from Dr. Mikta.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So it's kind of hard to answer actually, to be more accurate. So my answer is like the first one. I like to take the position like AI as a tool, but I like to make it more AI as a reliable partner, as my presentation previously. So we have we give them input and then they give us feedback. So it's kind of like there has been like negotiation between us and AI as an approach that eventually help us to during the design process. And the second one is we cannot rely fully on AI because at the end of the day it's a tools. So and most of us usually like put the design like tend to like building oriented context without addressing human as a user, which is the foremost thing that we need to address in design. So back to AI. So I guess I'm fully agree. So we need to.
And that was and we were producing what was ultimately a fairly boring document, but the discussion that led to what is okay and what is not okay was a really interesting one. And what we sort of came to through that discussion, through that academic discussion, was the idea of absolutely, you can use that tool right at the start to develop and to refine your ideas and to be a kind of reflective tool to think about how your ideas could work. And that is part of that process. So I think it is not necessarily saying that uh, any use of it in the sort of initial development phases is a bad thing. But I think the key thing is the what you then make from it, where you then go with it has to be yours. So absolutely, for me, when we were developing our guidance as an institution, we acknowledged you might use it right from the start. But still, ultimately, the thing you've got to get to at the end of that process is something that you own and that is yours and it's something that you make, even if it is in collaboration with an algorithm.
I see. Okay, so I'm actually interested to hear from Gabriella. I think AI in art is actually kind of like a controversial topic nowadays. So perhaps you as an artist has kind of your experience or your views on this.
Yeah, I think my view is more like I'm still really saddened about how the hard work of artists who are like trying to master their art is like being stolen or being used unethically. So I think I'm hoping that in the next few years, maybe, these kind of ethical questions can be like answered and like can be solved. And up until then, maybe if I want to answer the questions from the Instagram, it's more like personally, I don't use it in the preliminary stage. And but yeah, it's all about the risk that you want to take for your work that you want to put in the data as well. And yeah, it's more a personal question and everyone can answer differently. But yeah, personally, I don't use that. And personally, I tend to emphasize more on the human experience that is embodied, for example, in inviting people to have more agency in their expression, have more choices of tools in their expressions, without fear of being not perfect like a robot or a technological means.
I see. Yeah, you mentioned something about ethics, and I think that's also something that we're still going through, right, in pretty much every sector. So maybe I'd like to hear from Dr. Mikta. Like, how about you on using AI in your research? What experience have you had, and what are the boundaries that you may or may not do?
So far so good, I guess. So, but the thing is, when I also always as the students when they use AI, like be very careful, be mindful about using AI. I mean, to use it as a trigger, maybe it's fine, but you know, technology or always have two sides. Like at the same time, it can be very useful, but at the same time very risky, especially when it comes to the copyright things, and because sometimes we just slip in it, and then we are unaware about using it. I mean, even us as a researcher, sometimes we really need to ask ourselves, like, is this already like ethically appropriate, or do we already using put it a good credit on it or something like that? So yeah, we still need to be very careful about that, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe last one from Dr. Daniel, because you discussed on your student studio work. So maybe there's your own personal experience in Facebook.
Reading parts of it and thinking, this is smarter than me. Like, this paper is smarter than I am. And it was true, because what it was me returning many, many times to the same piece of work. It's my best at many, many moments, layered on top of each other, refined and refined. And it was smarter than me and continues to be. And so I think that there is, that doesn't mean that it's not mine, or that I didn't create it, or that it's not beautiful or interesting or original. And I think that that is the case with many works that we create. When you see you've created collaboratively with AI, or that has just been created by AI, I think at the moment we still have a tendency to sort of go, well, it's not real. There's something inauthentic about this, and I understand why. But at the same time, it is the sum of human creativity in coming from many different places at many different moments. Um, and something about that is original and interesting and beautiful. So I think that there's I think we have a long way to go in exploring kind of what we think of AI as a tool, as a collaborator. I think it will change many things about how we see art. And I think one example of this, or one sort of analogy, is how when when photography arrived as a technology, certainly there would have been portrait painters who said, well, that's it for portrait. I mean, that's it. I'm not going to have a job anymore. We're not going to need portraits. And surely there was an impact, but at the same time, over many decades and then nearly a century, or no, over a century, we now have portraits are incredibly important. Painting still exists. It has a different status as a result of the existence of photography, which is not a worse status. In fact, it's in many ways a more kind of honored status in a funny way. So there are changes that we can't necessarily foresee. And I don't know that that usually means that the old way goes away. I think that there's space for the integration of new methods, and that's the beauty of what we do.
Thank you very much, Dr. Danielle. Okay, so I actually have some more questions on the list here, but it's not really related to the education or AI. I think we have some questions regarding studying in the UK. So I see here some questions about scholarship opportunities, about the education over here in UK. So maybe Ms. Gita, you can open up with this first, and then we'll go to the educators over in RCA and also our alumni.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. So first of all, I'm also a UK alumni previously. So I started in 2017, 2018 at the time with the scholarship as well from the UK government, cheapening scholarships, MBA, media management at the time at Cardiff University. So yeah, actually, if you're talking about scholarships, actually, there are a lot of opportunities to study in the UK with scholarship, for example. So for example, for the undergraduate, usually the UK university also have scholarship, for example, based on the academic merit, based on the destination country, for example, or maybe a partial scholarship or maybe full scholarship. So there is many options for the scholarship as well. So for postgraduate, actually for master degree, the UK government have cheapening scholarships that usually open around September and it just closed in October. So maybe you want to continue study postgraduate in the UK, cheapening can be the option. You can choose any university, any subjects in the UK as well. And cheapening scholarship give you full tuition fee. And then also your stipend as well. So it's a full scholarship, including your transport and also, everything that you need during in the UK. So it's a full scholarship. And also from the British Council, actually, we have also a scholarship called Great Scholarship. So this Great Scholarship, usually we open around November or December, so it will be next month. So be ready if you want to apply to visit our website, for example, in British Council. .id in our Indonesian website that we will give information about that. So the Great Scholarship is a partial scholarship. Will give you up to £10,000 sterling to your tuition fee. So if you want to study for a master degree in the UK, it can be also your option to fund your study. And also from the Indonesia government, yeah. So Indonesia government, or maybe you know LPDP, and Gabriela is also from LPDP alumni, I think, yeah. So yeah, LPDP also open for you to, if you want to study in the UK as well, and you can choose the available program or maybe universities as well. And maybe I can also ask from the Royal College of Arts to show if you have option for the scholarship as well for Indonesian students.
Well, I will try and, thank you very much. I'll try and fill that question as best as I can. And let's be honest, it won't be very well. what I do know is that we do have a range of kind of scholarships, and that all of the scholarships that we do have are published on the RCA website. So there is a dedicated page which will tell you about all the scholarships available and tell you about all the potential programs that those scholarships might apply to. So rather than pretend that I know more than I do, I would refer you to that.
Okay, so we actually have, building on that, we have a question here. It's asking about perhaps how to get into the master and PhD of architecture or photography or anything in arts. Perhaps could you maybe tell us what is not on the website? Like what do you actually look for in students that would make them stand out, and how they can join you over there in RCA?
I can take that one. So one of the key things is that we are looking for people who are thinking independently and developing ideas and methods that are kind of at the cutting edge of what art and design are doing. So that could be in terms of technique, but it could also be in terms of a kind of partner that you're working with that you would like to work with, or a topic area that is really interesting and underexplored. The key thing to do that I would recommend to anyone who's interested in doing a PhD at the RCA is to get in touch with a member of staff who looks like their area overlaps with the area that you would like to study, and have a conversation with them about the best way to approach it. In the best sort of scenarios, that person might end up becoming your supervisor. In a normal kind of typical scenario, they just advise you, which is always really valuable, and they help you through the process a bit, and give you some nudges in the right direction. So most of us who supervise PhD students are really open to kind of hearing from prospective students and giving advice.
Oh, there's a question on Zoom. I have an architectural background. Wait, I think I have to. I'm sorry, can you open the question? I can't see the chat. There's a question on the chat box in Zoom.
So I can read the question, I can see it. It says, I have...
Yes, but I'm interested in the world of business management and music arts. Oh, it's very interesting. Is there a master's program at RCA that represents that? Okay. And I think building on that question, how does it usually work when people kind of like cross majors from what they usually do in the undergrad to the postgrad? So maybe that's very interesting. That would be interesting too.
So I'll start with the first part of that, and then I'll hand over to Chris for the second part. In terms of so we don't have business degrees at the moment, but we do have a lot of students who go into sort of their own business or licensing their own IP, and we have a sort of department called Innovation RCA, which is like one of the best in the world in terms of incubating new businesses. So that's something to look into. I think personally, having worked at places that do have business degrees and actually having worked on a business degree before, I actually think it's better to have an incubator than a business degree, unless it's a sort of MBA, which we don't have yet. There is a master's program in the works that will be in sound, but that one is not ready yet. So it's going to be a couple of years before that one's ready. That said, we have many, many experts working in sound design and in music across the RCA, and it would be very normal to kind of cross boundaries and combine different disciplines, as you've probably noticed from what the graduates have to say as well. So I'll hand over to Chris for comment as well.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. It's worth recognizing, and I think it was really interesting listening to Gabriela talk about her MFA communication, because we do have these different types of degrees, some of which are highly specialist, highly bound around a discipline, and you need to be fully engaged in that discipline. We do have these much more flexible degrees, which have a much broader remit to look across the various different themes and research interests and research networks across the institution. And I would say the MFA communication is an example of that. We've got MDes in Design Futures. We have MFA kind of fine art. I think Gabriela's doing.
Arts and-
Yeah, sorry, Arts and Humanities. Thank you. And the program that I run, the MEd in Creative Education, is that same thing. It's a much more interdisciplinary experience, which is designed around the idea that you will get to choose your own path. There is a core set of programs, but also a range of elective programs. And we describe this sometimes, or it is described as a sort of sticky curriculum. So we don't know what you're going to do at the start. You don't know what you're going to do at the start. And you sort of build that part of your degree as you go through. And it's always fascinating to see for those students where they end up. But maybe kind of Gabriela, you're the expert. You've done it.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I also want to mention that lots of my project that I showed in the photos were very much helped by the staff and the technicians in RCA, which are really, really professional. I talk a lot about sound techniques or like how to record things properly, or how I even learned to do animation as well, stop motions with my woven fabric. Like it's like in Indonesian word, it's prasmanan, like buffet kind of. You make your own path, just like Chris said, and it needs a lot of like initiative and lots of like focus, which unfortunately not something I'm really good at. But I think a lot, even the technicians and the staff also can help you a lot with the, or the tutor in your classes can help you a lot with directing possibilities of how you can work with your practice in that interdisciplinary moment. So that's something that I experienced. But yeah, making your own path in this kind of context is very important. So yeah.
It's very interesting. Okay, so I think more info on how to study there is widely available online. So maybe if there's anyone here that's interested, you can also access their website to go to RCA. So we actually have one question here from Dr. Mikta. I think he would like to ask you questions.
Sorry, I'm hitting.
Okay. So if you're facing them, we can see you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm confusing with the stage. Yeah. Sorry. So I'd like to have probably one question. So to Dr. Chris and Dr. Daniel. Yeah. I'm probably I represent the faculty here. If there are any chance or the procedure to have kind of like joint or joint supervision, for example, or since Ibu Ava also here representing the Department of Architecture, if it's can, I mean, if there's any chance or possibilities to collaborate between Department of Architecture and RCA, or sort of kind of like maybe a small step to kick the collaboration further. So would be nice to have it probably. I mean, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, can I start off, maybe kind of pass on to Danielle to kind of specific examples from shared programs. So we sort of have the full range of different collaborations, and yeah, definitely it's a conversation that we're always happy to have. The key thing is finding the people in both institutions who are the kind of person who kind of kickstart that, because obviously there's institutional processes to support it, but what you need is that those people, those connections, people going, we would like to work together and let's work out how. So absolutely, it's definitely a conversation we can have. Danielle, if you've got any kind of specific examples or thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, definitely. So totally agree with everything that Chris said. And generally, we are pretty keen to get involved with other institutions and with researchers from other places. A kind of specific example would be a couple of years ago, I was supervising a student who wanted to do some work that involved, it was a very specific thing. It was like a 3D printer that could print biomaterial because she wanted to print a kind of synthetic skin. It sounds a bit gross, but it was a very interesting project. And she ended up finding the right 3D printer in Cardiff University, which is, it's still in the UK, but it's a little bit far from here. And we ended up, myself and another researcher, through this students project, getting to know this group of scientists at Cardiff who do 3D printing of skin and coming together on a research project. And that didn't even involve supervision. It was just a kind of student facilitated relationship that ended up going somewhere really interesting. I personally supervise students collaboratively with 3 different universities at the moment. So that is something that we do a lot. As Chris said, you've got to find the right sort of pathway, but generally we're really keen to do that. So definitely welcome you getting in touch, or any of your colleagues getting in touch about that.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you. It's very interesting. So one more question before we end the day. I actually want to address this to Gabriela and to Miss Gita as alumni from the UK. So we have one alumni that's back here and we have one that's still over there, and it's very interesting. So I think I'd like to know perhaps just a short summary on why did you choose to study in the UK, and what do you think that you have learned there and you can bring back here to Indonesia, or maybe you wish that Indonesia could learn from. Okay, so maybe Miss Gita?
Okay, why I studied in the UK? Actually, I wanted to study in the UK since I was in high school. So I want to, because I like the UK culture, and then also, of course, UK is the home of English language, which, of course, we can master your English skill, which is very important right now into your employability, for example. And also, I think in the UK as well, the culture is very rich. Many, historical places, and at that time, actually, I really like about the royal family. And during my study in the UK, it was 2018, and at that time, I was a journalist. Actually, I had a chance to, as a journalist, to report the story about the royal wedding at the time, during the wedding of Prince Harry and also Meghan Markle at that time. So it was an amazing experience as well when I studied in the UK. And then also, UK is very multicultural as well, so it can expand your network as well. So many people, not only from the UK as well, but all over the world, like from America, and then also from Asian, and also European as well. So a lot of people come together in the UK, and you can, expand your network as well when you study in the UK. And of course, UK has world-class education. So the quality of the education in UK is so well, really strong as well in terms of like innovation and then research as well. And then the connection with the industry is really strong as well. UK University has a partnership with the companies as well that also can connect you with the companies in UK and maybe international company as well. And also it's also very welcoming when I studied in the UK. They are very friendly, very warm as well. And sometimes also call, for example, in the UK when I walk in the city center, for example, like I don't know that someone and suddenly called me, ask me, are you all right? Or maybe, how are you? So it's kind of a friendliness in the UK that I feel UK is like home as well. And also not only about the culture, and also I like Harry Potter and then also Ed Sheeran, the music, a lot of that you can explore, the Beatles as well, so that you can explore in the UK. And maybe some of you like about the football as well, as a sport. Maybe I saw some Champion Leagues, maybe you also, Pak Mikta, you like about the football in the UK. So many things to explore in the UK that is make not only about the academic, but it's a memory for your life.
Okay, thank you very much. And one more from Gabrielle.
Yeah, I feel like what attracts me as well is how I wonder what it is, the mental health awareness in other than Indonesia, for example. How do we experience that? How people activate that? And coming here, I feel like I learned a lot and I experienced a lot of different things. And I feel like I hope I can bring lots of insights. For example, I think lots of Indonesian feels a little bit wary to go to the clinical kind of approaches for mental health in Indonesia. And I was like wondering, we actually already have like lots of heritage and cultures that are already enhancing well-being, but how do we like combine those things again so that it can be like closer to Indonesian culture and people can still feel more comfortable to do or to go to find help or to find support for their mental well-being, but in the collective sense. And I felt like with all the things that I learned in this 2 years already, there's a lot of practices, there's a lot of like techniques, mindfulness techniques or creative expression techniques that I learned from my colleagues and in my education job as well. And I really wish to be able to practice that or bring that to Indonesia as well. And yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things that lots of wonderful friends, wonderful connections, wonderful experience of neurodiversity as well, and how I can accommodate for my needs. And I'm hoping that I can also advocate for this in Indonesia later when I come back, and also activate my Art for Wellbeing, Art with Inalia in Indonesia after I try to like develop it here. So yeah, that's a lot of things.
Thank you very much. So at the end of the day, it's back to the human again and the culture. That's very interesting. So if there's anyone here that's also interested, you can look up how to study in the UK. So this brings us to the end of today's session. So before we end the day, I would like to inform you that the British Council has a Study UK guidebook that you can share on the screen if you're joining us via Zoom. And if you're joining us live here in the room, you can get the physical copy in front of the room. And you can get all the detailed information about studying and living in the UK. So now, before we end, I think we should take a group photo. So to everyone that's joining us in room, please come up. Okay, but we haven't took one with the people on the Zoom. Okay, so perhaps we can show the Zoom gallery with everyone joining us, turning on the cameras. Thank you very much to all of the speakers and all participants, to Chris, Mitchell, and Gabrielle. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I think it's still, 11 in the UK? This is the end of the day for us here in Jakarta. Okay, so to everyone in the room, please join us up front. Yeah, and to everyone in the Zoom, you may open your camera, nyalakan kameranya supaya kita bisa sharing bersama-sama. Oke. Silakan. Oke. Ya, kelihatan nggak? Di layar kelihatan? Oke. Tim British Council? Oke. Oke, ini nggak apa, biarin aja. Oke. Stick photo. Oke. Okay, so now everyone is on screen and on camera. Tunggu. So I think everyone on Zoom can see all of us here. Okay, let's pose. 1, 2. Okay, thank you everyone. Give a round of applause. Okay, so with that, our session has definitely come to an end. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Chris, Dr. Daniel, thank you, Ms. Gita, thank you, Dr. Mikta, Ms. Ova, and everyone here. On behalf of Universitas Indonesia and the British Council, we apologize for any inconvenience, and we hope to see you again soon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for making the time. We hope we can see you in person here in Jakarta or maybe over there at the UK.
And we look forward to collaborating with you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.